Hey family, I'm Kalion, and I interpret messages from the divine through music. I'm a soldier, a cryptologic linguist, and a messenger, and I walk with those who carry both shadow and flame. I want to begin today with something very real, not symbolic, not metaphorical, not ancient, but earlier today, where I entered a grocery store here in Texas, my local HEB, in Round Rock. I was carrying my spiritual and ceremonial items peacefully, visibly, and lawfully. I wasn't threatening anyone. I wasn't provoking. I was simply existing in my faith. And once again, law enforcement was called, something I'm getting used to. Not because of danger, but because of discomfort. Because my mere presence makes people uncomfortable. Something people of my complexion are very familiar with historically. Officers from the Round Rock Police Department arrived, and once again, instead of protecting constitutional rights, I was lectured condescendingly that I was wrong for asserting my First Amendment rights to religious practice and my Second Amendment right to bear ceremonial arms when I carry the staff and the spear. I was spoken to as though my knowledge of my own rights was defiance, as though my firmness was aggression, and as though standing my ground was a crime. And when I refused to submit to that ignorance, I was criminally trespassed by officers who demonstrated a clear lack of understanding of the very laws they are meant to uphold, something making itself more and more apparent not only to me, but across our society, where trust in these institutions has been eroding for years. Let me be very clear. I am not saying every officer is evil, and I am not saying HEB is uniquely malicious. What I am doing is naming a pattern, because this is not the first time, and it is not unique to one store or one department. This is what the song Zombie is about. In your head, they are fighting. This is how wars continue without anyone realizing they're participating. And this is how the slow erosion of freedom occurs. A system that forgets why it exists, people performing roles without reflection, and authority enforcing comfort instead of law. Citizens expected to comply with ignorance for the sake of staying quiet. This is a force I've come to call Ekapaxa Asura at work. Not a demon with horns, not a villain twirling a mustache, but a force of imbalance. One shadowed wing of power. Power without wisdom, without humility, and without remembrance of the oath to protect all people, including those who don't look familiar, worship familiar gods, or tend to make others feel uncomfortable. A zombie force under this influence doesn't ask, is this lawful? It asks, is this easy? It doesn't ask, is this just? It asks, what will make this problem go away? And when someone stands firmly and says, no, I know my rights, I will not surrender them quietly, the system reacts the only way imbalance knows how, by trying to shame, by trying to intimidate, to pathologize, and to remove. That's not justice. That's sleepwalking. This force doesn't only live in governments or corporations. It lives in comment sections, in casual dismissals, and in the tearing down of others. It spreads like a virus, and that virus is growing. Small extinguishers of hope, tiny acts of discouragement, people acting out pain they never examined. That's why this song matters, because zombies don't know they're zombies. They think they're just doing their job, just telling the truth, just being realistic. But realism without a conscience becomes cruelty, and silence in the face of that does not create peace, it creates permission. I don't share this to make myself a martyr. I'm just a man with both eyes open to what is happening. I share it because naming the force is how you weaken it. Every faith has done this. Every liberation movement has done this. And every healing journey begins with this. I do not hate those who enforce ignorance, but I will not bow to it either. I will stand firmly, in public and in court if necessary. I will keep the light on, even when it makes shadows uncomfortable, even when it costs me access to your local grocery store, even when it exposes how asleep parts of the system truly are. Because the war Dolores sang about was never just overseas. It's here, it's now, and it's happening in our heads. And now a prayer for my beloved spiritual and coach sister Malika. Divine light that awakens the sleeping, divine shadow that reveals imbalance without hatred, the wisdom to speak without cruelty, and the patience to remember that even the asleep may one day awake. May truth outlast intimidation, may love outlive fear, and may the balance be restored. Ashe, Amin, and Amen. If this message speaks to you, help me spread it by commenting, liking, sharing, or simply whispering it into the wind. And if you'd like to support my mission and request a song of your own, I am accepting donations at the links in my bio. Thanks for watching, family. See you next time. Same fire, new rhythm.